So in the first 2 days, we have seen basics of C sharps, loops, arrays, and functions. So today we start with object-oriented programming language. Object-oriented programming language is very important as new version of Selenium, which is WebDriver, is purely object-oriented in nature. You have to learn object-oriented language in order to learn Selenium, or you can say that to learn architecture of Selenium. In many interviews, the first question asked is explain the architecture of Selenium. Now, until unless you don't know the concepts of objects, interface, and all, you cannot explain the architecture of Selenium. So, let's start with object-oriented concepts. In this first topic is static and non-static function. For that, I will go back to my Visual Studio and create a new project. Mm, Console app next and name it as static. Mm, Static, non-static study. And one thing to be remember, never name your project or class name as a single word which is predefined. That's why I apply study after that or something static, non-static one, something like that. But never name your project as a you can say like predefined keywords. You have to put one more keyword with predefined keyword so that it will not get you error. So then create. So okay. Now what does static mean? Why it is there and why and what all can be static? As you can see that main function in the class is static. You will get to know difference between static and non-static in few minutes. First, uh, let's make a function. Okay, public static void sum, and now make one more function. It can be public void send email. Uh, Now you see that it's a clearly that I have used static keyword to make a function static, and in non-static function there is no static word. So this is an non-static function and this is an static function. So and say uh, just a minute. Yeah. Mm, I can say if I say int I equal to 200 and I say int j equal to and say 300. Now something there is something known as global variable. Global variable are present inside the class but outside the function. So, suppose if I say mm, say, I will say static int k equal to can say 800. Now if I want to access this variable, so in my static function, suppose I want to write can say console and say I plus k. Now it will not give me an error. Now you see that it will not give any error, any kind of warning is there. But here, if I want to access, now there is no error at all. Okay, but suppose if I declare one more variable g, or you can name it anything, and say I will give it as 700, and if I want to access g, now you see that it is giving an error that there is no something like variable g or using a non-static method. Now these are global variable. It is not inside the function, but it is inside the class. I'm again saying it is present inside the class, but outside the function. Okay, now
The
this is,
global variable cannot be inside the main method as well, right? It will
yeah,
be like
yeah,
outside.
yeah. It is inside the class. You can say the scope of this variable is inside the class. So it can be used. It can be used in any function. It can be used in main function. Okay. Now it can be used in non-static function as well.
Hmm.
Non-static function can access anything. Now when I write, now you see it will not give any error. Okay. Now first of all, you have to know that global variable are of two types. First is first is static and non-static variable. It is of two type. Now you see here the first variable is static. I have put the word static. Okay. Now when I want to access this static variable inside function, that I can. But if I want to access this non-static variable, which is, if I want to access this non-static variable inside the static function, then it will give an error. And the error is, you can say, is required for the non-static field method or property. That this is the rule that non-static variable can't access in static function. Static function cannot access. I'm pointing the main keyword, main lines. Uh, Pardon me for 2 minutes. Pardon me. Yeah. Hello. So you see that static function cannot access the non-static variable variables. So, but this is not in the case of non-static function. That non-static function can access static as well as non-static variables. I can access k inside my main function. You can say I can access static variable k inside my main function, which is also static, but I cannot access my variable g as it is non-static because I haven't put any static keyword in front of, you can say, uh, variable g. So this is an non-static variables, and by putting the keyword static in front of my variable k, it will become a static variable, and static function cannot access the non-static variables, but non-static function can access static as well as non-static variables. Okay, so why is that? For this, we go deep into this to understand. Suppose I can make a new class and name it as car and add my main method.
अभिजीत, one
Yeah,
small question.
yeah,
जब आप यहाँ पे program, go to program.cs, the first class, when we create this first class, we don't see any reference in top or the class created as internal class program, but when we
yeah,
created second class,
yeah.
it will show the reference using system this namespace this, then
Yeah,
internal. Why we are not getting this, and why every time our class is internal class?
you can make this, you can make it as public.
Okay.
No, no worries about that. If I made it public, it can be accessed by any class, any external class.
Hmm. Hmm.
Okay. Now,
and
yeah,
and this references using system, why this is not coming in? Means I created one class, but I was just confused why this reference zero
you can
normally.
say when you see now when I will make a new project, you can see when suppose console app and name it as any.
Hmm.
Now you see that it comes like this, that there is
Yes.
no public, no something, and here it will say to me that convert to main program to style. You can use it as well. It's a new in Visual Studio 2022 that you can use it as well. But we used to do it like this. I can make this as well public. Now you say it is saying zero references. When I use this class inside another class, then here it will say that one reference. The you can say that at if I use this you can this class in two classes and two other class external classes, then here it will say two references that it is used in two classes. Okay,
Okay.
no,
Hmm.
don't go into that. You will get confused. Just know when you make a new class, you will get this thing. Sometime it is there, sometime it is not. It is
Okay.
just like you can say that sometime it comes, sometimes don't. You can't say that when it comes or when it comes not comes. You can't say. Okay. Now thing is that just give me 2 minutes. Where is that? Now, if I say I will declare string model a int price and can say int sorry int wheels. Now you say it is giving error that something like error. It is giving error, or you can say warning. So for that, I will make this. Now it says that you have to declare your field as null label. This is a new concept in Visual Studio 2022 that you have to declare that it can be null. This is a new concept in Visual Studio that you have to declare that it can be null. Okay, now you can say one thing more, that you cannot declare local variable static or non-static. Right now, you can say you just focus on the rule of static keyword. You will understand the static keyword in few minutes. The first rule is static function can only access the static stuff. Okay. Now, first I will declare and say so, so this is how we create an object. Okay. Now we have created the object of the class. This this is by using the keyword new. This is how you declare an object. So what happens inside the you can say when you declare the object, what happens in the memory is that we create the object of any class. The object inside the memory, the object of the car class is created. There will be memory, say say and say and when we create an object inside the memory, the object of the car class is created. There will be memory location associated with the object and all the non-static stuff. You say that here non-static stuff is can say model, you can say price, and say wheels, and suppose I have create a function public void start and one more function public void accelerate. Now you see that this is non-static function as I don't use static keyword. So say that it start function or accelerate and say that uh, if I say C1, it is an
But here,
yeah
string, model, int, price, and int wheel are non-static
yeah
uh, function means
variables
variables.
yeah
So,
yeah
but we are creating object inside the static class, so it will hold memory for this non-static as well.
no you will note a difference. You will note a difference that why I'm doing this. You will note a difference. First, just focus on the concept of object. You can say,
Okay.
okay. Now, what happens that when we create the object of of any class, I have created the object of my car class. This is how you create the object. So there will be memory location associated with that object and all the non-static stuff. You see over here that this is all you can say all the non-static stuff model price wheels or your function start accelerate that all the non-static stuff would be residing over there. In this I have access to model. You see that I can access model price wheels. Then you have function start and accelerate function as well. Now here C1 is the reference to the object. This has to be very clear. It is the reference point towards the car class. Many people think that C1 is the object, but no. I'm again writing here that C1 is the reference pointing towards the car class. C1 can say C1 is not an object. Many people think that C1 is object. No, C1 is reference pointing towards the car class. And when I create a, you can say reference to the car class, that all the non-static stuff, all the non-static stuff will be residing over there. So now I can use C1 dot model. You can say that it is something like a, I like this, and I can access C1 dot price equal to, you can say something like It can be anything because it is integer. Now I know C1 dot wheels equal to 4. Okay. Now C1 can access all the non-static variables. This is how you can access non-static variables inside a static function. You can access all the property of the particular class. Now let's say C1 dot start and can say C1 dot accelerate. So now I create another object and name it as car C2 equal to new car. Now again I have created an object and C2 is reference to the that object. Now for new object I can access all the properties of the car class that C2 dot price equal to something this C2 dot model and name it as you can say I think and C2 dot you can say wheels then it is 4 and then again C2 dot start and again C2 dot accelerate. Now I have told you about the non-static stuff. Now we talk about the static. Now in this class I know every class every car has 4 wheels and whenever I create object of this car I will have to unnecessarily occupy the memory with the wheels variable. Okay, I know that every car has got 4 wheels, but inside my memory, I will again, when I create a new object, the same thing, say it is there, like say whenever I create a new object, suppose this is C2, I again I create object C3, and again there is a memory allocation. Say this is say C3 or anything. Whenever I create an object, again there is a memory allocation. This is going again and again for the wheel. So wheel is something which is common for all the objects. So what I will do is removing wheel from every object and keep wheel in common memory location by making wheels variable as static. So I can do as static int wheels equal to 4. So now you see it will start giving an error.
Yes.
Okay. Now Now wheels is not the part of object. Okay, so first of all, I make I will run this. You can say mm, console dot write line. Can say sorry c1 dot say model, and same thing I will do it here as well. d2 dot model and say console dot read key. Now first I have to make this as my startup class. Okay. Now if I run my code, okay, okay, that I can't access. Okay, now again, now it is printing my model name. Now and say that if I say static, so now it will give error because only static function can access it. You can say for now wheels is a part of class, not object. So it will give error. It is not a part of object anymore. So I can not access wheels by using the reference. So now this is how I can say now you can say that wheels and say is not a part of object anymore. There is no wheels associated in this object. Whereas by creating the object can you can say access only non-static function. Okay. Now
Yes.
so now I can say that here mm, console dot write line, and I can say uh, something like uh, model concept plus start, and again in accelerate I can do the same thing. and I say accelerate. Now I execute my project again. Now you see triple A start, triple A accelerate model, then triple B start, triple B accelerate. Okay. Now if you want to see that what is the value of model, you can put your breakpoint over here. Now I press F10 and now okay, I have to put here as well. Now you see that what is the value model here is AAA. Now again, when C2 object creates, now again when it goes to start function, now you see the now value is BBB. Okay, so this is how you can debug the your project, and this is how you see that it will print your model. Now so here if I print say press F5, if I print here console dot write line and say we write uh, wheels to wheels and wheels C1 and I write here wheels for C2 and execute my code again. Now you see that here I can access wheels variables like this. So this is how we use static function and static variable. As wheels is static, but and say if I want to use same thing for the this can say price and use my now it will give an error. Okay, so this is how you can access non-static variables in a static function by making the object. Now again, I'm come back to the my main point that This is a very key interview question that what is an object and what is difference between object and object reference, and how do you declare an object. So this is how you declare an object, and the difference is that C1 is not an object. C1 is the reference pointing towards the car, car class, or you can say pointing towards the object. So you have to very clear about this. Okay, that C1 is not an object. Interview can confuse you by C1 can be anything. You can declare, so you can say uh, car.
So C1 is our reference, so car is the object, right?
Yeah, car is an object. This is how you you are declaring an object. Okay, this is the declaration of an object, and C1 is the reference to the object. Like this, C1 is like you can say that when you going from you can say Mumbai to Pune, and there you have the board that Pune is 50 kilometer away. So that board is the reference to the Pune, but it is not an you can say not a Pune city, but it's a reference to the Pune city. So same way is here that C1 is reference pointing towards the object. This is an object. Okay, so you can say that car 1 equal to new car. So interviewer can confuse you like this that I can say car you can say car Sonal 1 equal to new car. So what is an Sonal 1? What is a car 1? Car 1 is an reference. So this is a very important point that car 1 is an reference to the object. It is not an object. Car 1 is not an object, but it is to a reference to the object that it is object in the memory, and C1 or car 1 is a reference pointing towards that object. That object is there in the memory. Okay. Mm,
Yes.
okay. Now that's all for today because you will get confused if I move further with now because you are you will get confused what is an object and object reference.
Yes, yes, this class was actually difficult. So I'll
Yeah,
go through this one again.
yeah. If you find any difficult, just ping me that what is
Sure.
this and what is this. You can Google as well for this, but don't go too deep. You will get confused. Okay.
Yeah, sure.